Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. We'll get started in just a couple seconds. All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for attending another joint office webinar. We're super excited to have this short and sweet one on zero emission bus resources. So I'll get us underway, but just so you know, this is a 30-minute webinar that will cover some great opportunities as well as some great resources that are now available in this space. I'll cover just a couple of quick housekeeping items. So the first of which, if you are newer to Zoom, the controls are located at the bottom of your screen. If they're not appearing, you can feel free to move your cursor over toward the bottom edge and they should pop up. We will be using the Q&A function for questions during today's webinar, so feel free to submit your questions there. That's a great way for panelists to actually get to respond to you directly, so please do use that Q&A function. As a disclaimer, this webinar is being recorded and may be posted on the Joint Office website or used internally. If you speak during the webinar or use your video, you are presumed to consent to recording and use of your voice or image. So just so folks know, this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on the Joint Office website in just a couple of days. We also will be posting the slides, so you can feel free to click through any of the hyperlinks and good stuff like that that's shared during today's webinar. In terms of our agenda, we will hear a brief introduction from Jeff Peel, the deployment manager for the bus work that's going on at the Joint Office. And then we will have two great presentations from Ryan Fraser and Mike Jones at NREL. And we will save some time for any questions that have come in throughout the webinar, questions at the end. So feel free to submit them as we go along. Awesome. So I will pass it off to you, Jeff, to head on into some of your intro slides.
Thanks, Bridget, and I will be quick so we can get to the real substance of today's webinar here. Just a recap for those of you who don't know who the Joint Office is. We're a partnership of the Departments of Energy and Departments of Transportation. Our mission is to accelerate an electrified transportation system that is affordable, convenient, equitable, reliable, and safe. Our vision really is a future where everyone can ride and drive electric. Next slide. Thank you. Yeah. We do this by supporting several really key important infrastructure programs made available through the bipartisan infrastructure law. The two we're really going to focus on today, I think where you all are probably familiar with in the audience here, is the Low and No Emissions Grant Program supported by the Federal Transit Administration. Provides up to $5.5 billion to support low and no emission transit bus deployments. They have a current funding opportunity out now, a notice of funding opportunity rather, that is open through April 25th. So if you're looking to get federal dollars to support your low or no emissions, your zero emission bus program, know that is open now. Go to the FTA website to find that application process. We also support the efforts of US EPA here in their Clean School Bus Program. Again, that provides $5 billion in support for electric school bus deployments. The award cycle for this year has already gone out and the rebate program is already closed. Stay tuned for announcements of those rebate award winners soon. Next slide, please. So just want to point you all towards our website. If you haven't seen it already, if you found your way to the webinar, I have to imagine you have. We've really oriented a lot of our resources here lately towards being able to ride electric. So if you go to rideelectric.gov and not just driveelectric.gov, you can find information that help guide you through answering your questions on how to transition your fleet, how to transition your depots to clean buses and zero emission buses. Our assistance here is open to all agencies and fleet managers, regardless of whether you've received low, no, or clean school bus funding in the past or applying in the future. It's open to anyone and everyone. So take a look at the webinars, past webinars we have recorded there and all the fact sheets that we have. So we work hard to provide technical assistance. I'll let some of those experts talk to you more here briefly. This is what we're here to do. We're here to be the front office for you all looking to transition your fleets to the federal government and all the resources we bring to bear in that work. This is just some of the stuff we can help you with, and it's everything from identifying that available funding and the incentive structures around that to really getting into the nitty-gritty details of your route planning, your depot alignment, things of that nature. So no question is too small or too thorny for us to help answer. Do come our way to get that support you need. Next slide. Thank you. Yeah, so I mentioned earlier some of the materials we have in our resources page here. This is some that go above and beyond just the Clean Bus program here in terms of working in your community to get a EV charging there, to work in multimodal connections as part of that. But we definitely focus a lot of our attention on transitioning your bus fleets to cleaner fuels and battery powered systems. If you haven't seen those resources yet, do take a look. I mentioned we are the front door to get these questions answered from the federal agencies and technical experts. You get there by finding us on our contact page. Don't be fooled by the basic looking form that we have here. There, as the saying goes, operators are standing by to answer your questions. We get responses to you within 48 hours. If it is a difficult question that needs more back and forth, we will follow up with you, but you will hear a response from someone within the first 2 business days. I'm not sure how everyone found their way here today, but if you're not on our newsletter email list, do sign up for that. We send out information pretty regularly there on updated fact sheets, updated funding opportunities, updated webinar and training materials. It's all very good, relevant information there. Do sign up for that if you haven't yet.
Awesome.
And I think that was my last slide, so I will turn it over to you again, Bridget. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Really appreciate that. And we will now just launch into our 2 polling questions. So we have kind of our usual first one of what region of the country you are coming from today. So if you wouldn't mind taking a quick moment to answer that question, that would be great. I always like seeing all the votes coming in. Awesome. Great. So yeah, looks like we have a good representation from the West Coast today. Thank you all so much for being here, both West, Northwest, Southwest, as well as a lot of folks from the Northeast and Southeast, and 1 person internationally. So thank you all so much for being here. We really do appreciate you spending time on your Thursday to be here. And then we have just 1 more question. We're trying to get a sense of kind of what industry folks are coming from. Specifically for this webinar, we're asking if you are representing more of the school bus side of things, the transit side of things, or if really kind of other is the best fit, feel free to choose that as well. This is helpful. Great. Thanks so much for responding, everybody. It looks like maybe we needed to segment that other category out a little bit more, but we have a lot of folks from the transit side of things and less so from the school bus side of things. So that's helpful for the presenters to know. Thank you all so much for taking a moment. We can keep moving along so we can hear from our great panelists. Today, we will hear from Ryan Fraser, who is a project lead at NREL's Technical Assistance for Clean Transportation, TACT group, where his primary focus is developing resources and assisting fleets with their transportation and alternative fuel deployments. Prior to joining NREL, Ryan was a fleet manager for the Washington, D.C. government, where he deployed numerous electric vehicle and alternative fuel programs. And we're also going to hear from Mike Jones, who is a project leader in that same group at NREL, the Technical Assistance for Clean Transportation group. He joined NREL in March of 2023 and leads the Clean Bus Planning Awards initiative, which we're going to learn more about today, and also helps to provide support for the Mid-Atlantic region on behalf of the Joint Office. So thank you all so much. I'll pass it along to you, Ryan, and turn my video off.
Great. Thanks, Bridget. So hopefully some of those in the other category are here for school bus information. I'm mainly going to cover clean school bus technical assistance and resources, but obviously a lot of this is applicable to all zero emission bus resources. You can go to the next slide. So to support the EPA's Clean School Bus Program, the Joint Office has partnered with the EPA and Department of Energy to provide free technical assistance to school bus fleets. I want to emphasize the word that it is free. School districts that are currently receiving EPA funds or are planning to apply for future rounds are eligible to receive this technical assistance. And our goal here is really to provide school districts with the knowledge, tools, and information needed to successfully plan for and deploy clean school buses. You can contact us with direct questions, simple questions, or you can, in general, just ask for help. Something like, I'm not sure where to begin with my utility. It is fine to come to us with. Like Jeff said, for direct questions, you'll receive a response within 48 hours. But if there is more personalized response or meeting requested, you'll be linked with someone directly on our team. So we've got fleet managers on our team, utility professionals, plenty of other experts, as well as some external organizations and lab partners as well that we can connect you with. So the bottom line here, if it's something you're not sure about, or you just don't have the time, the bandwidth to research it yourself, that's where we can come in. We're happy to come alongside for your whole electrification process, for parts here and there, or we can even just be a sounding board for your plans. You want to bounce some ideas off of someone, you don't know where else to go, please reach out to us. I am a former public fleet manager. I know when you start new programs or begin adopting new technologies, that obviously usually does not come with more resources. So I'm really happy to be on the team here where we can kind of help fill that gap for folks, for fleets, for any organizations, and just help you have a successful deployment. Again, services provided free of charge, no strings attached. So please reach out with any questions. Next slide. So in addition to the direct technical assistance that we offer, I just want to highlight some resources that we do have available, specifically to school bus fleets. Always like to start off referencing the Flipping the Switch on Electric School Bus series. These are very accessible and informative videos on all ESB topics. These can be watched in order or just as needed, and really great resources for fleet managers that are new to electrification or just interested in learning more about that process. Next slide. So the Joint Office, we have developed a spreadsheet-based route analysis tool that is designed to assist school bus fleets in determining what buses and chargers are going to be compatible with their unique routes. The tool is downloadable on Drive Electric at the link shown here, and where we also have an instructional video available. And so our goal here was to make this as user-friendly as possible. You can see on the screen here, there's some inputs in the gray, orange, and blue cells. And these are pretty simple. Users are going to input their route mileage and dwell times. You're going to select some options on temperature, heating, and charging, and then you'll input your bus type, and you also select an electric bus make and model. The tool is then going to deliver results in the green and yellow sections here on the maximum energy used on route and the optimal charger size for each route. So these calculations, they're all based off of OEM bus efficiency and then some real world data that we have collected from electric school bus fleets. So we really see this as one of your first steps in route analysis. Obviously, we still want fleets to talk with your bus and charger manufacturers about plans, see what their recommendations are, and then also reach out to other local fleets about their electric school bus experiences. Next slide. We do have a cold weather fact sheet available on the Joint Office website. This is something we get asked about all the time. This fact sheet does lay out how cold weather impacts bus operation and range, as well as some considerations to help minimize those effects. We do have a hot weather impact fact sheet coming soon. Obviously, a lot of countries in hot weather locations. So don't want to forget about them. And then we also have, for the transit folks on here, we have transit fact sheets for hot and cold weather coming out in the not too distant future as well. Next slide. So next, I want to highlight the electric school bus familiarization webinar series. This is going to be starting in April, and this is a 4-part webinar series geared towards operators and technicians. But really, it's going to be a great resource for any members of your fleet that will be involved in bus electrification. So the Joint Office and NREL, we are partnering with the International Transportation Learning Center to put on these webinars, and the content is going to be presented directly by school bus manufacturers. I mentioned it's geared towards operators and techs, and it is going to be really valuable, I think, to have them on the live sessions so that they can ask their questions and bring up any concerns they have, bring them up directly to the manufacturers. These will be presented in the afternoon. I think the next slide might have the time. Yep, or it's got the date for the first one. Oh, back one, I'm sorry. Yep, so this is where you can register. The first session, like I said, geared towards operators and will be held on April 10th. I believe if you click the link, you'll see, I think it's from 1 to 3 Eastern. We tried to make it a time when most operators will hopefully be available. But these will all be recorded, and we will have testing materials available on the Joint Office website so that school district fleets can incorporate them into their local training programs as well. We do expect the following 3 sessions will be held bi-monthly. If you're on the Joint Office email list, you're going to be notified when registration opens for those. Next slide. And then last, I just want to highlight the upcoming Joint Office Electric School Bus Technical Assistance webinar series that EPA is going to be hosting this spring and summer. We have a number of in-depth topics we're going to be covering. You can see all of those here. You can register for this series at this link. And on this link, you can also find some past EPA webinars that the Joint Office has participated in, including fleet planning and route analysis, utility planning, training and maintenance. So we've gone over a lot of topics, but if you register for these should be informative. Need some help with these topics here. That's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. Yeah. We'll now invite Mike up to talk about the Clean Bus Planning Awards.
Great. Thanks, Bridget. We can go ahead and move to the next slide. Clean Bus Planning Awards is a new technical assistance opportunity being funded by the Joint Office and managed by NREL. We want to stress that it is technical assistance. This is not a grant, but we think it's a really great opportunity for fleets to get some help, bus fleets, both school and transit. The primary deliverable associated with this program is a comprehensive and customized electrification transition plan. And to follow Ryan's lead, I would also stress that this is completely free of charge to fleets. So there are no formal obligations or requirements associated with participation in this program. The only thing that we will be asking of school and transit bus fleets to provide is some of their time and some data. These applications are being accepted on a rolling basis. We just opened this up about 3 weeks ago. So by all means, please visit the program website link that we have here on the page, and I can drop that in the chat as well to learn a bit more. If your fleet or company, generally speaking, is eligible for either the EPA or FTA funding opportunities, then you would most likely be eligible to participate in our program. That is one of our primary objectives with this program, is to help prepare fleets develop successful applications to these funding opportunities, and also, perhaps just as importantly, help fleets be adequately prepared to actually deploy those buses if and when they are awarded funding. I think more generally, we're hoping, and our expectation is that these transition plans can really help set a vision for deployment and rally unified support from both internal and external stakeholders, and really be a living, breathing document that can guide informed and educated purchasing and deployment decisions moving forward. There is also a secondary piece associated with this program that we're calling deployment assistance. And so if a fleet does go through the program and receive a transition plan at NREL's discretion, we have the opportunity to extend that period of assistance with a given fleet for a period of up to 3 years. What specifically that will entail will really be tailored to the specific fleet and their needs. But it's another opportunity for us to extend that runway a bit, working one-on-one with fleets as they go from planning to implementation. Next slide, please. This slide will just give you a high-level overview of some of the things that the transition plans completed through the program might include. I think a lot of these elements are covered individually to some extent already through NREL's existing technical assistance services, some of which Ryan has mentioned. I think what this program does is, especially for fleets that are maybe not as familiar with these technologies, it puts a lot of those elements together instead of trying to handle them, on a one-on-one or ad hoc basis, really trying to tackle these in a comprehensive way. But I think one thing we really want to stress here is that ultimately these plans will be tailored, to the specific circumstances and needs of the fleet. We don't want these to be cookie cutter or in any way. We understand that every fleet will have unique considerations and requirements, and those will all be factored into the development of each fleet's transition plan. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike. So yeah, I can invite the rest of the folks on the webinar if you all want to turn your cameras back on. We got one question in about if a agency already has an existing fleet transition plan, would this program's technical assistance be able to review and update and maybe make some recommendations for updates to existing plans as well?
Yeah, so good question. We do not disallow that. We understand that a lot of fleets, especially on the transit side, have already gone through some sort of transition plan or planning study. So we would encourage those folks that have plans already to apply to us, and through our vetting and review process, we can establish if you're best served getting assistance through the Clean Bus Planning Awards, or perhaps through some of the other technical assistance channels in NREL's purview.
Great. And kind of a similar programmatic question, is there a cap on the number of fleets that the program will be able to serve?
There isn't a set number. We will work with as many fleets as our financial resources will allow. So again, this isn't a grant in that we're not issuing funding to fleets. Really, our biggest limit is just the amount of financial resources that we have from the joint office to administer that. So the exact number of fleets that will ultimately be able to support, unfortunately, it's hard to give a black and white answer on that, just because that'll be driven by a lot of factors in terms of how big the fleets are that are applying, and the level of assistance that they'll require. It could be a couple dozen. It could be much more than that. But I think the most important thing to consider is this is open and we're accepting applications, and we don't envision running into any sort of burn rate issues for quite some time. If and when we do, we would make those notices accordingly posted to the program website.
Got it. Thank you. We received a couple of more kind of, I guess, technology related questions. I guess maybe this is a good one for Ryan. If you know of any sort of tool that might be available for understanding the economic trade-offs between using more of a battery versus a hydrogen fuel cell configuration, kind of the financial side of things.
Yeah, I think this is something that a lot of transits are trying to figure out what's the right mix between battery electric and hydrogen buses at this point. And I think this is probably something great for the traditional technical assistance line. If you do have these questions with your fleets, I think we've gotten similar questions through the line from other transits, and we have resources at NREL that can help you analyze what's probably the best mix for you. Obviously, there's no hydrogen school buses at this point, so this would probably be limited to transits.
Great, thank you. And then, yeah, just a quick question that came in around what is kind of a CNG bus? What does that fall under in this kind of realm? Someone's wondering if that's considered to be a hybrid type of technology.
No, I don't know if they're referencing a photo that we had maybe or something. CNG would not be a hybrid. That would be strictly CNG.
Yes, it's compressed natural gas. Awesome. Well, I think those are all the questions. If any folks
I see one more in
oh,
the chat here about the route. I can address it real quick if you'd like.
okay, great. Yeah, sorry, I didn't see that.
The route analysis tool have a buffer set in for districts who operate in areas with hilly terrain or elevation changes. So yes, the route analysis tool does have, we label it risk factor. If you download the tool, you'll see the instructions on an instruction page about risk factor, where we kind of take into account aggressive driving, hilly terrain, weather impacts, really anything outside of that temperature and heating and cooling that will affect the efficiency of the bus. We do recommend that everybody evaluate for a worst case scenario. So you would take your high risk days to make your evaluation. That way you're prepared. I mean, everybody's going to have days where the weather is bad, the traffic is terrible, the regenerative braking is not getting used properly. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, obviously reach out. I can give you more details about the tool.
Great, yeah, thanks for finding that one in the chat. There's one other one that came in the chat, just checking in on kind of the best way to find out more about the Clean Bus Planning Awards. Mike just responded, but yeah, the website has a lot of great information of kind of where to reach out, and does have the specific contact information as well. So that is cbpa@nrel.gov. It's the email for the Bus Planning Awards. Looks like a couple more questions actually just came in. We probably just have time for one more. Let's see. I guess, are there any tools or resources that are available for understanding what the charging patterns and behaviors will be, how that might fit into that route analysis tool as well, kind of understanding the charging that might be the best fit for the fleet as well? Also, maybe how the utility rates are impacting the overall costs as well.
Yeah, our tool does not take into effect or into account the utility rates or possibilities of charging the whole fleet. Let me see, throughout the day or throughout a week. So if you like some more in-depth analysis, we are thinking about future versions of this tool. I think including rates in it would be great. But if you do need analysis, if you use the tool and you say, I'd really like to see what the rates would account for, just reach out to us through the line, and we can help you with that as well.
Awesome. Thanks for all the questions. Sorry that there are a couple that had come in just at the end that we didn't quite get to, but if folks do want to submit those to our concierge service, we'd love to get back to you. Just for the sake of time, knowing that it's already 1:30 Eastern, we wanted to share that these are some of the resources that we mentioned on today's webinar. So as this webinar is being recorded and the slides will be posted, you can feel free to follow these hyperlinks. There's also lots of navigation available to all these sites on rideelectric.gov. And finally, thank you all so much. Thank you so much to Ryan and Mike and Jeff for being here. We really appreciate you sharing your expertise and all this great information and the program that is now available on a rolling basis. So feel free to reach out. Like I said, if you didn't get your question answered, we'd love to be able to answer it. But thank you for spending some time with us today. We really appreciate it.